They called him Moise the Beetle, as if his entire life he had never had a surname.
Pun. Play on words.
He stayed out of people's ways. His presence bothered no one. He had mastered the art of rendering himself insignificant, invisible. Physically, he was awkward as a clown. His wave-like shyness made people smile.
This is a perfect example of formal diction.
And Moise the Beetle, the poorest of the poor of Saiget, spoke to me for hours on end about the Kabbalah's revelations and its mysteries.
Yes, this is a perfect example of a strung along sentence, for the emendation splits the main clause.
Hey, guys, hurry up. Pack your bags. We're leaving in the morning.
Get out, you dogs! Let's move it. Faster, you dog! Faster! They were our first oppressors, the first faces of hell and death.
Now this is a perfect example of the trope metaphor. Obviously, our faces are not the faces of hell and death, but we are very evil.
Tragically, for those who had already been deported, it would be too late. As for us, chances were that we would be allowed to go on with our miserable little lives until the end of the war.
Now notice Weasel's diction here. It is very formal. He does not use any slang, but yet he still drives the point home with the simple words.
The ghetto was not guarded. One could enter and leave as one pleased. Maria, our former maid, came to see us.
Notice the words here. Our former maid. It is the emendation that separates the main clause. Therefore, this is a strung along sentence.
Sobbing, she begged us to come with her to her village, where she had prepared a safe shelter. I spent my days in total idleness, with only one desire, to eat. I no longer thought of my father or my mother. From time to time I would dream, but only about soup, an extra ration of soup. Suddenly, the sirens began to scream.
Notice the trope here. The sirens began to scream. Obviously, this is a form of personification.
Alert! We went back to the blocks. It was too late to evacuate us that evening. The evacuation was postponed to the next day. Darkness has fallen! Morning has risen! Hunger was tormenting us.
Once again, the trope of personification was used. Obviously, this is a trend Weasel intends to repeat.
We had not eaten for nearly 6 days, except for a few stalks of grass and some potato peels found on the ground of the kitchens. The resistant movement decided at that point to act. Armed men appeared from everywhere. Bursts of gunshots, grenades exploding.
Once again, Weasel decides to use formal diction. There's no pompous words being used, but we clearly understand what is happening right now.
We, the children, remained flat on the floor of the blocks.
The syntax elements from long sentences have also been used. We now know that Weasel has a trend that he wishes to continue also with the strong long sentence.
Our first act as free men was to throw ourselves onto the provisions. That's all we thought about. No thought of revenge or of parents, only of bread. June 29th, 1944. The Jews are liberated. Oh, I'm trying to make this as. I want to know who called.
Like who called?
I'll be good for the blooper.
Wait a second.
Go.
If I should stay, I would only be in
We don't have enough battery.
How do I stop it?
You have to hit the record button again.
Okay.